Hello YouTube, my name is Nick, and today I have the second part of my top 25 end of the year list. Last video was 25 through 11, this video is going to be 10 through 1. Took a little bit of time to let my voice get back to normal, because my voice was extremely sore when I made the first video, and also up until now. So I don't sound like garbage anymore. Hopefully there will be no more choking, whatever the heck I was doing. So, yeah, got some good stuff here. Moved around a lot of albums in my top 10, even after I made my 25 through 11 video. So once again, this series is dedicated to a special person in my life. Mwah, I know you're watching, and you're the best. So, number 10. I talked about this album a little bit, but I'm so extremely happy with this album. This is Parapet by Annihilator. I can kind of compare this to the Maestas album that came out last year. One of the most crushing vocal performances of the last million years. The songwriting and the lyrics on this album are almost unparalleled. It's very hard to explain to someone unless you actually listen to it. It's essentially a story written behind some audio logs from Zachary Kerr, I think his name is, the vocalist for this band. I don't know if they're real or if they're made for the album. That's actually some trivia I'd like to find out. But this is like some horrifically depressing, suicidal-esque, like black and death metal, extremely thick feeling, nihilistic as all get out, hateful as you can possibly imagine. This album got some traction, and for good reason. Their last album was really amazing, but this just takes them to the stratosphere. I can't get enough of it. The song Disgust and Remorse Part 2, read the lyrics to that song, please. So yeah, that was number 10, Annihilator with Parapet. Number 9, this one shouldn't be a surprise. This is The Ones Who Create, The Ones Who Destroy by Crater. I mentioned this not too long ago. This album totally knocked my socks off. Good thing I got like 25 pairs for Christmas. One of the most brutal albums I've heard all year, and in general, I guess. The songwriting and the dexterity behind this band and behind all of the supergroup members of this project is just almost second to none. Extremely complex sounds, amazing production work to really bring out all the instruments. The bass work on this album is just flawless and scrumptious to listen to. And of course, John Longstreth, one of my favorite drummers in the world, is in this band. So that's just an extra plus. So yeah, turbo brutal, turbo creative, black and technical death metal, whatever the heck you want to label it. I think it's just kind of tech death, not much black metal to be heard of, in my opinion. But yeah, this is The Ones Who Create, The Ones Who Destroy by Crater for number 9. Number 8. This is my Slam album of the year. This was kind of a surprise to me because it doesn't look, to the naked eye, that special. This is Doomed to Disembowelment by Devour. This really kind of takes me by surprise every time I listen to it. It's just extremely creative slam. I guess it has a little bit more deathcore to it than normal. A lot better instrumentation. And it's really the creativity and the varied structure of all the songs. Like, every song has its unique catches, and none of the songs sound the same. Like, every song on here, Gagging on a Boarded Mush, Spitting Up Chunks of Cunt, Living the Dream, Chopped Up and Smoked. The instrumental track, Doomed to Disembowelment, which is pretty much just a funeral doom track. Pounded Slut, Voids of Solon, just every single song on this is a brutal masterpiece. The album artwork rules. I have a ton of merch by this. I acquired it through a special person. So I just love this. If you like Slam and you don't know this, get on it. Please do yourself a favor. I listen to this all the time. This is almost permanently in my car because it's not too short and it's not too long, and it's catchy as heck, and it's very well produced. So that was number 8, Internal Devour with Doom to Disembowelment. Number 7, Coven or Evil Ways Instead of Love by Cult de Ghouls. This was a little bit higher up on my list, but considering the next couple albums that are coming up, it had to be in this spot. One of the greatest thematical albums that I have ever come across. This is essentially the great black metal play or opera. The vocals on this are just crazy, maniacal, extremely varied. The vocalist plays about 100 characters on this dang album. Every song on here is ridiculously long, 15, 20, 30 minutes long, doesn't matter. It's 2 discs, probably very well known at this point. Of course, comes in a big old book, because Cult de Ghouls only know how to do classy, delicious stuff. One of my favorite modern black metal bands, of course, from Poland. There's not much else I can say about this album that I haven't already said. It's extremely ambitious. It kind of came out of nowhere for most people because there wasn't a ton of hype behind it before it got announced. So, one of the great modern masterworks in my eyes. I love long albums, and I love Cult de Ghouls, and this is my favorite album to date. So that was number 7, Cult de Ghouls, Coven or Evil Ways Instead of Love. Not very well translated, in my opinion. Number 6, I gushed about this album ad nauseum when it first came out, and I still do. If someone doesn't know about this, and I know about that, then I tell them about it. This is Dasein, or Dasein, I still don't know how to say it, by First Fragment. Sorry it's a little dark. I can't make up its mind whether it's going to snow or rain or be sunshiny. But this album is one of the great masterclass tech death albums that have ever come out. This would be higher up on my list again, but you'll see. I listen to this probably once every 2 or 3 days still. It never gets old. The songwriting is so dense, and the musicianship is second to none, literally. I don't say that just to say it. These guys are so far ahead of their time, and they're kind of reinventing a genre that I didn't believe needed to be reinvented yet. There's kind of a bunch of new waves of tech death that's coming here recently with new stuff like this. Extremely dense, extremely complicated. They call themselves neoclassical tech death, and I am perfectly okay with that. Still blows my mind every time I listen to it. I can't wait for new material from them. I'm not sure how long it's going to take because the length between the first EP and this album was very long. But please, if you don't know this, like I said in my first video that I mentioned this, stop watching this video and go check this out. So that was number 6, Dasein, whatever, by First Fragment. Tech Death for the Gods. Number 5, Bloodshed Across the Imperial Altar, Beyond the Celestial Zenith by Inquisition. Longest name to date, and in my opinion, the best Inquisition album to date. This is the perfect album to come full circle for Inquisition, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with this album. It's almost impossible to say anything bad about this, except maybe some people don't like long albums. The songwriting is so much better than it used to be. I have no quarrels with any Inquisition album, but you can see how much more proficient they are with their songwriting and how much more varied they've become over the years. More vocal stylings than ever. Some more complicated parts, kind of some things that you'd expect from bands like Acherontis are on here, which is a total plus because their blend of really traumatic and hypnotic black metal mixed with kind of ritualistic ambient kind of things are essentially my dream combination. Every song on here is amazing. I'm gonna say Riff of the Year is on A Black Aeon Shall Cleanse, I believe. You'll know what I mean when you hear that song. There's a Typhon cover on here, which is another, I believe, Colombian-based black metal band, because Inquisition is originally from Colombia. So yeah, turbo evil, more mature sounding black metal from Inquisition this time around. They only get better and better with each album. I thought Ominous Doctrines was going to be their peak, and then Obscure Verses was a little different, and then this just brings everything home. Perfect album, in my opinion. These next, I don't know, probably top 7 of these of my top 10. I could probably give 10s. Just, my lord. So that was number 5, Inquisition, Bloodshed Across the Imperial Altar, Beyond the Celestial Zenith. Number 4, I fully expected this to be my album of the year, but some things got moved, and the CD is in my car because I forgot to get it. But this is An Outsider by Rhine. This was in my Goats video, and I still believe this album, any of these top 4 or 5 could have been my album of the year, but I had to move them around in some case. So I don't believe any of these are better than each other. It's just my personal preference, I guess. But this is the most horrifically depressing, real, home-hitting albums to ever come out, in my opinion. The lyrics on this, and the mood swings, and so many, I guess, emotions that are conveyed through the instruments and the vocal stylings on this album just will bring a grown man to tears, I promise. Every song on here is so incredibly different. There are almost no 2 songs on this album that are the same genre. Dreaming of Death, and An Outsider, and Paralyzed are definitely 3 of my favorite songs of the year. Please, Ryan deserves more recognition than they get because they're kind of trailblazers, even though it's mostly written by one guy, Gabe. Let's see if... Yeah, Gabe Tashell. Right there. So yeah, that was number 4. Rhine with An Outsider. Crushing stuff. Number 3. This one might be a little polarizing for some. The Elysian Grand Evil Gallery Arc by Infant Annihilator. I don't really care what people think about Infant Annihilator at this point. I am madly in love with this album. It's ridiculous to the max. It's every kind of brutal genre mixed into one, in my opinion. The vocals by Dickie Allen on this album just crush the universe. I don't care what kind of techniques that you don't like. If it can be done, you should do it. I don't care if he does, like, tunnel throats or cups the mic or whatever the heck you want to say. If you want to say that, then don't plug in your guitar to an amp. Same thing. But this album is just so dang fast and crushing and stupid brutal. And Behold the Kingdom of the Wretched Undying, for sure, brutal song of the year. It's like 17 or 18 minutes long of total brutality. Tons of guest appearances, and they all rule. Amazing album. I have this on vinyl. I just wanted to keep it to CDs because it kind of is easier to show on video. So please, if you have any hesitation on Infant Annihilator, especially from their last album, please listen to this. That's number 3, Infant Annihilator of the Elysian Grand Evil Gallery Arc. Number 2, up until about 10 minutes before I recorded this, I thought this was going to be number 1, but I just finished listening to my number 1 again, so I had to move it. It's a Terminal Redux by Vector. This album is just so dang impressive. It lasts so long for me. I haven't taken this out of my car since I bought it. Every single song on here is a classic opera. This is the dramatic album that the thrash universe needed. There isn't a skippable song on this album. If you do, then I'll come to your house and like poop on your door. It has gotten a lot of traction, I will say that, with a lot of news outlets and reviewing sites, and for good reason. This is one of the most impressive, most dynamically harrowing albums that I can ever imagine. The lyrics, the production, and the songwriting. Plus, seeing this live in its entirety just totally cemented it for me. Yeah. I can't say good enough things about this. Go listen to it if you haven't, please. That's number 2, Vector Terminal Redux. And number 1, this is going to be a little more unceremonious because the album isn't actually out yet in a physical format. So I'm just going to show something else that I got from them this year. My number 1 for this year might not be a surprise, but it is Zero by KFR. It is the magnum opus of all evil music until maybe he puts out something else that can top it, but I'm not sure how Maxime Tecardi could possibly think up something more evil and diverse and inspired as Zero. It's an incredibly long album. It's so... a lot of parts on the album are so cringy that it's almost more enjoyable that you don't want to listen to it. The vocals on any Maxime project are, of course, going to be as top tier as evil vocals can possibly be. I'm just going to show this for now because there is no physical format as of yet. The vinyl's coming shortly. But if you like evil music, then if you don't hold Zero to the highest regard, then you're probably doing something wrong. It's not for everyone. It is extremely hard to sit through, especially if you're not familiar with evil music. Harsh noise, ambient, power electronic, black metal, doesn't matter what it is. And please. I've said this a couple times, but please do yourself a favor and listen to Zero. It is my favorite album of the year. It is so stupid evil that it will change your life and it won't let you sleep for years to come. I wish I could talk more about this, but the video is already getting kind of long. Just watch my review of the album if you don't trust me. So that's my end of the year list. Hopefully it was good enough for you. Hopefully you learned something cool. Maybe you learned something about me. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. I might do like a disappointment video. I have a couple in there that I might do. So expect that. Mwah. See you next time.